Welcome to Mitchell Levy Presents, where I dive into the essential elements of clarity and credibility. Hosted by global credibility expert Mitchell Levy, today's episode offers invaluable insights to make you think and act more credibly. Join us as we explore living your values, boosting your credibility, and leading purposefully. I'm Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert, and we are at one of the most exciting times of my week, and that is a deep dive into a leader on their values. And get ready to meet Ken Rusk. He is an amazing human, and it'd be kind of fun to learn a little bit more. And so come and join me, tell your friends about it. And Ken, welcome.
Thanks, Mitchell. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, who are you?
Well, I guess you could be, I've been accused of being a blue collar entrepreneur, or whatever that is. And it's something that from a very young age, I started out, digging ditches. And then I found this way of trading labor for things that I wanted, whether it was a new baseball glove or an aluminum bat or whatever it was. And it just kind of snowballed. And it was one of those things where I started learning how to use vision very, very early on. And it just kept going and going to the point where I built a company, and now I have a construction company, a few of them actually. And I use vision every day, all day long in my work, in getting people to understand that they really are in control of their life. And so it's been 40 years now and 200 and some employees that we have today, and it's been a heck of a ride.
All right, so tell me a little bit more. Wife, kids, grandkids, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I've been married for 37 or 8 years. My wife would be happy to know that I don't know exactly what that time frame is. I have one daughter who just gave birth to her own daughter, my granddaughter, first one. And
Congratulations.
7 months old. I love her to pieces. She's the coolest baby in the world, but all grandpas say that. Although I'm going to go by Pops because Grandpa makes me feel old, so I'm going to go by Pops, and hopefully she'll call me that. But yeah, I'm a golfer. I'm a boater. I do a lot of exercising. I'm kind of a health hobbyist. I'm kind of a blood analysis health hobbyist guy. I do a lot of that, and just trying to keep myself on the golf course for as long as I can. And it's great. A lot of family and friends around all the time, and that's what life is all about.
So I'm kind of curious since my son calls me Pops, and he didn't for a long time. It just sort of came one day, he started calling me that. I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. Why is Pops sort of psychologically make you feel younger than Grandpa?
I think I think it just sounds hipper. I mean, I've heard it called to some other people before, and it takes the kind of sting. See, my problem, Mitch, is I don't feel like a grandpa. I don't feel like I'm an old guy. So
Oh, I don't know if that's a
therefore,
problem. I think many of us sort of, I'm not, but yes, I got that.
so yeah, so it was just something where it didn't feel right to me to be called grandpa. So I thought, well, let's try something different that isn't quite so age related. And so far, so good.
Nice. Okay. And well, you said some people call you blue collar. I assume you call yourself a blue collar guy.
Yeah, but I do it with pride. One of the things that I've been working on for a long time, and with the book and with this involuntary life coach title that I have, although I have no training and no college degree, no letters after my name, any of that. It's a stigma thing. I think there's a stigma against blue collar workers, which I don't know where it came from, probably a long time ago, but uh, it's crazy because if you look at all of my successful friends, and I mention them, a lot of them in the book, they're all blue collar guys. I mean, and they're wildly successful. So it used to be that you would say, well, if you're a blue collar guy, yeah, oh, Johnny, he's just a plumber. Well, I know Johnny, and he's got 12 vans and 15 employees, and he's just killing it. So, I mean, don't feel sorry for us plumbers and welders and electricians because we're doing just fine.
It's interesting to me. Okay, so you currently have a company that's a couple hundred employees,
Correct.
and how long did it take you to get from there?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I started with 6 back in 1986, and I think we reached 200 about 3 4 years ago. So it was a wild ride. I mean, I've probably interviewed in 30 some years. I've probably interviewed 2,000 people to arrive at that, and I'm not even kidding. But to arrive at that 200, and you really begin to learn a lot about how prepared people are, or how less prepared they are now than they used to be. Hence the involuntary life coach moniker that I've been given. Um, you learn what makes people tick. You learn how far people see into the future, and it's normally not much past Friday. So it's interesting to me to take somebody from, I can't see 7 days in front of my face to I'm now looking 7 years in front of me, or 17
Oh,
years in front of
that's
me.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's these light bulbs that just continue to go off. And for me, it is the most rewarding thing that I have ever done. I mean, I've been coaching for a very long time without even knowing it at first. And the things that we do work really well. And so I've got people now that have been with me. I've got my first employee I ever hired that's still with me, 38 years. I've got many people in the 30 plus year, 25 plus year, 20 plus year, 15 plus year. And it's only because I've always lived by this one single belief, and that is I can't get what I want for myself, nor can my company get what it wants or needs until everyone within it gets what they want first. And it's absolutely true, Mitchell, because companies are linear creatures. You have input on the left side and it comes in, and then there's work that happens somehow, and then there's something that's created, a product or a service, and then there is a sale, there's revenue, and hopefully there's profit. And us as business owners, we are always on the end of that line, at the end of that line. So why wouldn't you focus on getting everyone within your organization to win for themselves? Because if their goals align with your goals, boom, get out of the way, because you're going to see growth like you couldn't even imagine. And that's what happened to us.
It seems obvious when I hear you say that. That seems very obvious, but how come most companies don't do that?
It's real simple. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs, and whatever that means, a lot of entrepreneurs like to go home on Friday nights or Saturday afternoons and, beat their chest and say, I did this and I did that, and I busted my butt for 70 hours this week, and I fixed this, and I reprimanded that, and I motivated this, and I built that. And then they have heart disease and high blood pressure. They're stressed out like crazy. They don't know their kids' names or their birthdays. So it really is a thing where you have to give up, and you have to say to yourself, okay, um, this isn't going to happen for me by myself alone. I can't do it all. I literally can't do it all. And the ego of that statement is really hard for a lot of people to swallow. It's like swallowing a Brillo pad for some people. And they just can't get past, I need to give up some control. And I say, well, by giving up control and allowing yourself to surround yourself with entrepreneurial thinkers, you are in control more so than you were before. It's just at a different level. I mean, if I can rip the roof off of my building and hover above it in a helicopter and look down and say, okay, I have the choice of plugging myself into here, or there, when I want, where I want, if I want. That truly is the control that an entrepreneur wants, because after all, you started this business because you wanted to run it. You didn't want it to run you, right?
So, okay. So your employees are people. Is that
Well,
what
yeah.
I'm
Not only,
trying to I'm trying to get my arms around what makes you different.
well, when I hire somebody, I hire I hire the whole person. So let's take a 24-hour day. You have a person 24 hours in a day, typically 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, 8 hours of something else. Well, I don't really care what they're doing while they're sleeping, but I would really love to know, what are they doing beyond the job? I mean, when I hire somebody, it's not, here's your uniform, here's your hours, here's your time card, here's your benefits. I mean, that's all boring stuff. Anyone can do that. Your onboarding computer can do all that. I want to know, why are you here? I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know what you do after work. I want to know what your goals are. I want to know what your plans are. I want to know what you think is fun, what you think is boring. I want to know, what kind of friends do you have and why? I mean, I'm not going to pry into your personal life to the point where it makes you uncomfortable, but if I can help you visualize what you want your future to look like beyond Friday, beyond 100 Fridays from now, then I can actually help you get there. And I'm only going to do, it's funny because I have people that say, oh man, I owe you everything. At the Christmas party, they give me bear hugs and they go, man, without you. And I said, look, I might have had 2% to do with your success. You had the other 98. All I did was help you find a path. Okay. And it's the path, Mitchell, that's so important, because without a path, obviously you don't know where you're going. But, life is either going to happen to you or you're going to choose to happen to life. And I know that's cliche, but it's absolutely true. So let's take the if then out of life and let's say, okay, this is what I want it to look like. Now, Ken, how do I get there with and through your organization? And bam, that's when I jump in and I am all over that, because it's the most fun thing I can do in a day.
There's so much to unpack in all of that. Let's just go to some of the peers that you've bumped into, some of the companies that you've talked to, other entrepreneurs who have also been successful in some way or another. And why do they not focus, because they don't, by the way, on those 8 hours that are not sleeping or working? Why are they not focused on the dreams and aspirations of their employee base outside of the work?
Well, I think it's because they're too mechanically involved in their companies. They're not visually involved. They're more. You've heard the word integrators. They're more integrators than visionaries. And I just believe it's a much more fun place to be, is to be on the visionary side. Now, you have to get used to that. I mean, this is one of the things that started this whole thing. It happened to me many years ago. I had a group of people in my conference room that I considered were pretty sharp people, pretty loyal people, been around a long time. They could do a lot of things. And I considered them to be kind of entrepreneurial. Okay. So I had them all get a little piece of paper and I said, I want you to write down how far you think we can take this company in the next year revenue wise, if you were in control of some of the things to do that. And I want you to know that I'm going to share some of that revenue with you if we get there. So it's newfound money to me, to the company. So I don't have it now. So it's not like it's going to cost me anything. So I'm going to give you a piece of our growth, in other words. Wouldn't you know it that they all wrote down numbers that were $1 or $2 million higher than my number?
Ooh.
So be careful that you are not your own worst enemy, your own worst ceiling, your own worst chain or anchor that's holding your company back, because you got one brain surrounded with 12 brains. And these are people that were experienced within the company. They couldn't wait to go, hey, Ken, thanks, pal. Get the hell out of our way and let us go do this. And we've hit every single goal and moved on since that particular day and time. So I think what happens is people become their own anchors and they don't even know it. They think because they have control over the company that they're doing everything right, and that they have their arms wrapped around this thing and they don't want to let it go because they're afraid. I say, give it a long leash. Okay, let it go. Give it a leash. Let it run around. See what happens, because you will be pleasantly surprised at how much further your company goes than you're currently driving it yourself.
That's so interesting. I so imagined a different answer. I was imagining the people around the table coming up with a number that was less than your expectations versus the other way around. And that's powerful.
Well, it is, because in order to do that, they have to believe what I said earlier. I can't get what I want till you get what you want first. They have to actually believe that, because once they do, then they start saying this to themselves. I've told these people, these people on my team, I said, I want you to be as selfish as possible. And I don't mean selfish at the detriment of somebody else. I mean working on you, okay? I want you to say, I'm going to win for me first and Ken second, or me first and the company second. Because if those things are happening concurrently, get out of the way, like I said. So it was neat for them to go, so I can plan to build that house in 5 or 10 years. I can plan to buy that new car. I can plan to go to Europe on vacation, or give back to the community, or do that sport or that hobby, or take, have the control enough time that I can maybe watch my kid play golf in the afternoon for his high school meet or whatever. Those are the kinds of things that I wanted people to recognize. So they said, okay, so we're buying our own freedom here. We are literally creating our own financial freedom, our comfort, peace, and freedom, like I write about in Blue Collar Cash. That's what was important to me and to them. And so that gave them license to think big, because they were going to get a piece of that big. So yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Now, when did you become that person? Did you start that way when you started the business, or what happened to you?
Well, my very first employee named Tim, and he's actually in the book. He came to me back in 1988, which is 2 years into our company, and he said, I got problems because I got medical bills. My wife's pregnant. We live in this apartment. I got to work myself out of this stuff. I think I'm going to have to leave and go to one of those factory jobs that pays, umpteen dollars an hour, because it was more than I could pay at the time. We were a new company, right? And I said, well, let's do this. Let's just sit down with a piece of paper and some freaking crayons, and let's just draw out what you want your life to look like. And I don't know where that came from, other than I remembered the baseball glove, and I remember the aluminum bat, and taking my girlfriend out for pizza on my first used car. So that kind of came to me, and I said, let's just draw it out. Well, 16 months later, he was out of debt. 24 months, he was into his brand new pickup truck, and then he bought a piece of land, and then he built a house on that land 3 years later. And it was something that it just lit a fire. So for me, although I didn't make that a formal program with everybody at the time, I knew that it worked, and it worked with the right people. So that just kind of snowballed from there. And I realized that if I wanted to make this thing big and not kill myself in the process, because I liked my free time. I liked working out, playing golf, going boating, being with my friends and family. I knew that I was going to have to share this effort with other people and reward them for it. But I also knew that 80% of 80% of what I was going to have was way more than 100% of what I have now. So giving up a little bit of that was easy to do when you saw the big picture getting bigger, right? It's simple math. And so for me, I ended up actually doing better by giving up some things because the picture got bigger overall. And yeah, that's where the magic was.
So if you interviewed 2,000 to get to 200, what are the attributes? What do you look for in people that you want to hire?
Well, it used to be simple. You'd put an ad in the paper and there'd be 10 people in your foyer the next day, right? And you could just pick and choose. It's not like that anymore, because there's so much competition for people and for people to come in and do these types of things. But our interview is probably a lot different than most. My first question I ask them is, what are you here for? Okay. Well, I need a job. Okay, a job for what? So I can make money. Okay, money for what? So I can pay my bills. Okay, good. We're getting somewhere. Now you got your bills handled. Now what? When do you get to live? Like, what happens beyond your bills? And they look at you like, wow, nobody's ever asked me that question before. They look at you like, you're trying to discover penicillin or something. And so when you get to that point beyond, then you can start to see them kind of lean back in the chair, and they kind of open up their face, and you get a little bit of eyes looking up in the air like they're dreaming a little bit. That is the magic of an interview right there, because no one asks them that question. Everyone lives in such a reactive life. I'm going to work 40 hours so I can get this many dollars and pay my reactive bills that keep coming in the mailbox, and they won't stop. And it's just this give, take, reaction. I want to live in a proactive way. I want to say, what's beyond all of that? Because I want you to out earn your bills as quickly as possible here and then start living for you. And what does that look like? Let's figure out what that piece is. And then they're like, well, maybe I might like to trade in this junker car I have. I'd always wanted to have a silver Ford F-250 pickup truck. Well, then that's what you're going to have. Let's go. And everything in between. So we've sent people to Europe. We've sent people to new car store. We've sent people buying houses and buying all kinds of things. They're setting up accounts for themselves. Becoming what I call, 401k millionaires here. We've got a whole group of people that are in that space and not worrying about their retirement. We've had people learn languages, and we've had people build barns and decks and landscape their house and put roofs on and all kinds of things, little goals to big ones. And it to me, walking down that hallway and seeing that board filled with action is just the coolest thing in the world, because people, again, are working for themselves first and then kind of me second, which is really the way it ought to be.
So, by the way, thank you for answering that question I didn't even ask, because I was going to ask you what was the favorite conversation you've had. But you did say something. Do you actually have a board, a dream board for your employees, or is it?
Yeah. So
did I hear that right?
It's one thing to have people build vision boards, and I get that. You've heard vision boards till you're blue in the face. Build a vision board. Okay, they've been around, but how good are they really? How intense are they really? How detailed are they really? Is there a path to each thing on your vision board? You could write, I want to be taller all day long, but I mean, what's that going to do? How are you ever going to get there, right? So we have this thing where if you're going to commit to a goal, and I mean, you congratulate yourself first off for thinking differently, then you set this goal that's something you just got to have. I mean, I have to do this, okay? Not want or need, I have to do this. And then you split it up into pieces and parts. This is the pathway. 52 weeks at $100 a week, or whatever it ends up being, okay? 52 weeks, I'm going to learn a new language, whatever it is. You have a pathway, and then you set it into action. But the way to get it really driven home is by sharing it. So we have this huge black glass board. It's got to be 8 feet long by 10 feet tall. It's crazy. It looks like one of those boards that you'd see in front of a Mexican restaurant with all the neon colors, the margarita special of the day, And they actually write their goals up on the board, but they have to have absolute specific pathways: begin date, end date, steps, sign it, description. And then it's actually, I hate to say this, but these boards are mounted between the two bathrooms. So people see them 3-4 times a day. And they high five each other because they're like, hey, I see you're halfway to your goal, or I see you just hit your new one. And then when they finish those goals, we have another blackboard that has all the completed ones on it. And so people see all the things that people have accomplished by working with this organization. And it's a pretty wild, visionary thing that we use there.
That's so interesting. Have you bumped into other companies where you've seen this?
No, I haven't. I've had other people, they put like sticky notes up in the kitchen or something informally, but there's no, again, I hate to say this, Mitchell, but look at it this way. Without a path, a clear-cut path, all you've got is dreams, hopes, and wishes. And guess what? Those are some days, okay? It's like, someday I'm going to do this, and someday I'm going to do that. If you use the word someday in this building, people cringe. Like, oh, don't let Ken hear you say the word someday, okay? It's either today or it's nothing. I don't want to hear about it, okay? It's either in action, in plan, or I don't want to hear about it. Because if you're not chasing something so that you can feel that awesome anticipation of getting it, which really is like kind of the spice of life, like you anticipate anything, vacations or your newborn or a date or dinner with your family, whatever. If you don't have the anticipation thing, then it's just talk, okay? And the world is full of someday people, way too many. And boy, do they want to hold on to you. They don't want to let you go because you make them feel better about themselves, right? So it's interesting. If you shift your gear into today, a lot of things have to happen in order for you to get there. But that's where things get real, baby, and that's where all the fun is.
I kind of like that one. Focus on today versus someday. That kind of works. I like that. If you want, you could put the letter CD after your name if you want. And it just stands for cool dude.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. It's funny. I actually wrote a chapter in the book called the Some Dare Club versus the Two Dare Club, and I imagined they were both country clubs, and you were visiting them in order to join. Okay. And you went to the Someday Club. The parking lot was gigantic. There was hundreds of cars in it. You went inside and they gave you the tour, and all the people inside were saying, yeah, someday I'm going to go here, and someday I'm going to work in my golf game, and someday I'm going to get this. And all you heard was someday, someday, someday. But if you ask them if they've ever done anything, they're like, well, no, but someday I'm going to. But then you go to leave and they're like, where are you going? Well, I'm going over to the 2-day club. We're like, no, you can't leave. You got to stay with us. You got to stay with us ineffective people that never get anything done. You can't go. And they grab you by the shirt. So obviously the opposite is where you go to the 2-day club. The parking lot's very small because they're the doers. But you walk inside and they've got pictures of things they've done. They've got plans of things they're going to do. They've got specific areas and how they want to improve their lives. And you hear them high-fiving each other for the things they have already accomplished. And that's the club I want to belong to. So I kind of put that in the book as a fun little analogy there.
Yeah, that sounds like such a great culture. Hey, for those people who want to learn more about you and reach out to you and talk about it, because it might be these companies who go, listen, I need to change culture in my company. How best should they be reaching out to you?
I think the best way is to go to kenrusk.com. The book is there. The course is there that I built around the book. And I'm actually writing another book as we speak. It's called Cool Boss: How to Find One, How to Be One, or Change the One You Have. And it's about taking these steps that we talk about and actually implementing them in your business. And I know you've seen a lot of culture books before, but these are simple plug and play things that you can do this afternoon to fix any culture or to improve it. And I'm looking forward to that. So you can go there and look around at kenrusk.com or go on any of my socials at kenruskofficial to see what we're up to there.
Yeah, I'm going to say maybe it's not CD at the end of your name. It should be CB at the end of your name for cool boss. And you have to come up with characteristics of how can somebody call themselves a cool boss. That's
right.
An interesting one. Hey, based on this conversation and the questions that we asked, is there a question I should have asked you that I didn't?
I don't think so, but I would say this. I think people need to understand something that everybody wants to be in control of themselves. They want to be in control of their input, their output. They want to be in control of their day, their time, their schedule. They want to be in control of their financial gain. So having said that, as a boss, as an owner, as a manager, whatever, find a way to get your people to feel like they are in control of all of those things. Because when you do, I'll say it for the fourth time, get out of the way, because your division, your company, your marketing, whatever you've got to look over is going to go nuts with results. And convince people that they are in control of themselves, and then let them do it. Let that leash go way out, and you're going to have one hell of a good time watching all those results come in.
For somebody who isn't operating their business that way, what is step one?
Step one is just to get people around you and say, what do you want? Why are we all here? Okay. And I have to do the same thing. I mean, I put my goals up on the same board. Okay. They know what I'm after. They know I'm going to Ireland to play golf. They know that I bought a boat last year. They know that these things that I've done. And again, they know that they have the ability to do what they want to do for themselves. So the biggest thing is just surround yourself with, find the best people that you have, surround yourself with them and say, where are we? Why are we here? Where are we going? Where can we go? I'm willing to share that piece with you. Let's all draw out what we want our lives to look like, and let's go make it happen together.
I love that. I particularly like focus on today versus someday. I think that's the quote I'm walking away with um, for this interview, and I'm going to say for those who are listening or watching, this is now time for you to spread some cred dust. This is now time to take your favorite quote, your favorite aha moment, and share it on the social media platform that's relevant for you. Ken, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the time and energy and the way in which you're approaching life and living it, not just for yourself but for those around you.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me. I appreciate being there, and I love our conversation today. It was great. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And thanks again, everyone. Don't forget, spread Ken's cred dust, and we'll see you at the next episode of Leaders Living Their Values. Take care, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you found value in today's episode. Like, subscribe, and share your aha moments on your preferred platform. Remember, credibility starts with clarity and living your values. Learn more at mitchelllevy.com. Until next time.